Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I was going to say happy Wednesday, but we're on the back of a 1-0 defeat to Nottingham Forest, so it's not really happy Wednesday. But you are welcome to the podcast as always, guys. We are going to talk about last night's game. We're going to give our reaction to it, how I thought maybe we got on, individual performances, how players played. We're going to talk a little bit about Alejandro Garnacho. We're going to talk about the forward line in general, guys, because again, it's another game without really threatening to score, and it's very, very disappointing from a Manchester United standpoint. Where are the goals going to come from? That's the big question between now and the end of the season, and we're going to talk about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Do give us a 5-star review, hit that follow button, and let's jump right into it. So guys, let's start with obviously the game last night and a disappointing result away to Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. And I mean, were we expecting an awful lot more, to be quite honest with you? I mean, talking in the match preview, you could pretty much predict everything down to maybe Anthony Elanga scoring the goal and how the game was going to go, and it's disappointing. It really, really is. You know, I thought United started the game really, really well, and for the first half I thought we absolutely dominated the game. And you know, it's very disappointing to see a goal conceded in the fashion that we did, you know, and we know how Nottingham Forest play. You know, we mentioned it in the match preview. They soak up possession and they hit on the counter-attack. They've got absolute lightning speed in transition going from defence to attack, and we've seen it with Anthony Elanga. You know, sometimes you just got to hold your hand up and say that was an individual piece of brilliance, and it was from Elanga. He ran the length of the pitch. Could we have put in a challenge sooner? Maybe, and I think Garnacho tried to do it. And I think if you're talking about maybe a more defensive player putting in a challenge there, I think you take them down. And, you know, we seen in the second half when Anthony Elanga was away on the edge of his own box again, what did Christian Eriksen do? He just pulled him down, took a yellow card, and totally negated the whole counter-attack. And it's a little bit, I mean, coy and what you need to be doing. But you know, outside of that, a chance for Nottingham Forest, I thought Manchester United were well in control of the game. And one of the big positives from the game last night and from the last few games is that the patterns of play are starting to emerge from Ruben Amorim's system and what he wants out of Manchester United. I thought our defensive possession play and our passing out from the back and our passing in midfield was absolutely fantastic. It really, really was. We progressed the ball up the field. I thought what we done quite well is we narrowed our play coming out, and we actually sucked Nottingham Forest very narrow. And then we transitioned the ball to wide areas quite quickly, and we were getting an awful lot of success from it. Our wing-backs were getting forward. I thought Delo had a decent game last night, and for the first half I thought Dorgu played quite well. Second half, I suppose his game really dipped, and you know, he gave away the ball an awful lot. But the issue still remains from Manchester United, and defensively, really sound. Midfield looked good, looked in control, looked good in possession, progressed the ball up the field, transition from defence to attack, really good. The issue remains, guys, is that we can't put the ball in the fucking net. And that's the concern. That is the big, big concern. And let's go through the team. I mean, obviously, at the back, I thought Lenny Yoro played really well. I thought he put in some really good challenges. De Ligt looked absolutely fantastic again. And I think, you know, you see the knock that he took. He twisted his ankle in late in the first half. He stays on. And he was seen limping coming out of the City Ground last night in Nottingham. And, you know, that's the kind of attitude and, you know, hunger that you need in your squad. And you know, I thought he was good again last night. Mazraoui was a bit hot and cold. You know, I thought defensively, I thought he done okay. Gave the ball away a couple of times. Probably wasn't his best performance, but he has put in some really, really top tier performances this season. So I think, you know, you can't, you know, we're judging him off a high, you know, a high level. Into midfield then, Ugarte, Casemiro, I thought both played well. I don't really see, you know, Ugarte was substituted, and I don't see an awful lot wrong with his game, and likewise with Casemiro, I really don't. And Ruben Amorim was obviously trying to go more attacking by bringing on, you know, the likes of Christian Eriksen, Mason Mount, so on and so forth later in the game. The two wing backs, like I mentioned, I thought Delo had a pretty decent game, to be quite honest with you. I thought it was one of his better performances. He looked lively going down the right hand side. He took on the full back well, and he got some good balls into the box. Dorgu on the other side, like I said, first half I thought he played really well. Second half gave away the ball too much, and I think a big issue with I suppose the contrast in performances from first to second half is that first half we seen Garnacho playing on the right, and second half he was on the left. And Dorgu was making an awful lot of really good runs around Garnacho, and he just wasn't getting the ball. And that brings us on to Garnacho. And, all of the talk is around Garnacho. It was a really poor performance from him. And he really lacked good decision making, and we've been saying that all season with him, haven't we? It's been really, really poor, his decision making so far this season, and throughout his career, it has to be said. And it's something that does drastically have to improve. It has to improve. It just has to improve, because there's going to be criticism that come with it. His decision making in terms of taking a shot when he shouldn't, laying the ball off, he doesn't pass the ball enough. And when we look at the forward line as well, obviously Xerxes was in the number 9 position and then was moved back into the number 10 once Hyland came on the pitch. They all look so disconnected in that forward line together. They don't seem to be looking for each other. They don't seem to have any real connection and understanding of each other's game and where each individual player is going to be at certain points in the game. And it's so disappointing to see. I thought Xerxes was pretty much non-existent last night. He didn't touch the ball in the opposition box in the whole game. No shots, no creation for other players around him. And yeah, I mean, Rasmus Hyland coming on then as well, just put in another Rasmus Hyland performance. And again, I don't want to be overcritical of him because, he is trying. But again, I mentioned it last night on the watch along. He's more interested, or he's more concerned about the contact being made with the opposition defender than he is actually controlling the ball when it comes into him. He's too interested in holding off a defender more so than actually getting his first touch right. And it's affecting his game. He did make some runs when he came on, striker runs that we were missing when, Xerxes was playing in that number 9, but he's not offering us enough. The goals are just not there in this team. And, we said it at the start of the season. I mentioned it. I was concerned about where the goals were going to come from, and nothing has changed. Nothing. If anything, it's got worse, to be quite honest with you. Hyland is not scoring. Garnacho is not scoring. Xerxes doesn't score. Bruno Fernandes is the only one really contributing. And, the stat last night, which absolutely put the final nail in the coffin for me, is that Harry Maguire had a higher XG in the 10 minutes that he was on the field. Not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes that he was on the field last night, than Hyland has created combined in his last 15 games. That is absolutely disgraceful. It really, really is. And I don't want to be jumping on the Rasmus Hyland train of criticism, because I do think there is a player there and I think he's been over-relied on. But he's offering us absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And, there was some positivity on the before the international break where he scored, and then he scored for his country as well. And you're thinking, right, is this him kicking on? He was left out. I don't know if that was the right decision. And maybe Ruben Amorim, does have to, have a little bit of criticism pointed towards him. Putting Garnacho on the left-hand side does not work. Garnacho on the left isn't working, because all he does is he drifts left, he tries to cut in on his right-hand side, and he tries a worldie into the top corner. That's all he's got. Whereas when you play him on the right, he can't come in on his left because he's all right-footed, to be honest with you. So he's got to be able to create a little bit more. He's got to look for the overlap of Delo coming around him. He's got to play the ball inside, and I think he is more effective when he's played on that right-hand side. But when Hyland came on, Rasmus goes up front, Xerxes drops into the right hand side of the two front tens, and then Garnacho goes on the left, and everything changes. Dorgu stops getting on the ball, he stops getting supply on the overlap. Garnacho drifts wide, starts running them dribbles inside, running into two men. When he does get a strike, it's over the bar. It just looks completely unbalanced. So I think Garnacho has to play on that right hand side, and I think Ruben Amorim has to stick with him there. I really do. But what does it mean going forward? Does it mean the likes of Mason Mount is going to get more game time in that number 10? Kobbie Mainoo coming back in a few weeks, hopefully, will give us options there as well. But I reiterate the fact that bringing Mainoo and Mount into the number 10s, it's not going to solve our goal issue. We are so desperate to score goals, and it really is a big concern. But where does it lead us going forward, guys? Obviously, we're going into the Manchester Derby on Sunday, and I think the Manchester Derby will probably suit us a lot more than this game did, because not just this season, not just under Ruben Amorim, but over the last 4 or 5 years, I would say, going back as far as Solskjaer, we've struggled to break teams down that play a low block. You know, and again, I go back to what we said at the very start of this podcast. We do really well in the first third, in the middle third, but when we get to the final third against a low block where a team has got 7, 8, 9 players behind the ball, we struggle to break them down. You know, we turn back, we go sideways, we slow down the game, and yeah, you need, the way Ruben Amorim plays, you need to have players to play very specifically in terms of the structure of the game. And I think Garnacho playing on the right hand side gives us better options, even though it's not ideal. And going into the summer transfer window, I think we've got to look not only at an out and out striker coming in, we've got to get goals into this team. I think a number 10 is vital, you know. And I mean, let me know, what do you think? Obviously the big talker is around Garnacho this morning, and you know, if another bid of, or if a potential bid of 60 million comes in this summer, I think United are going to find it hard to turn it down, to be quite honest with you. He's an academy player, it's pure profit, and I think that 60 million can go a long way to getting a player in that suits Amorim's system a hell of a lot more, and maybe advances in this rebuild quicker than, you know, we might expect. But yeah, as of now, we've got a lot of work to do. We've got to get goals somehow. But again, going into the City game, we'll obviously preview that on Friday's podcast. But yeah, I mean, same old issues at Manchester United at the moment. But I want to finish on a positive, and the positive is that we are improving. And trust me when I say this, I do think we're improving. Ruben Amorim's system is starting to show green roots. It's starting to show the roots, and players are starting to understand, I think, what Ruben Amorim expects from him. Now, if we can go into the summer transfer window and put players directly into this team that know how to play Ruben Amorim's system and that are better than the players we've got in the team at the moment, I don't think it will take too long for us to be back, probably pushing for a Champions League spot. And I think if we get the summer transfer window right and get the players in that we need to get in the areas that we need to get in, I don't think it's outside the realms of possibility that we challenge for a Champions League spot instantly next season. But we're nowhere near a title challenge at the moment. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. If you are listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, do give us a 5-star review. It helps the channel out an awful lot. If you're watching on YouTube, do hit that subscribe button. Do hit the like button as well. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be back tonight on YouTube, guys, with the United Community Channel podcast. So make sure you're tuning in for that. It might be a little bit later tonight, I think 10 o'clock. So listen out for that as well. Hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great Wednesday, and I'll chat to you tonight. Take it easy.